Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. I am Trucker Andy, and in my last video I talked about the real side of truck driving, a driver's thoughts, and a bit about why or if you should get into the industry. Now, since that video I've had a few people contact me and said, well, that's fair enough, thank you for the information, but are there any training companies that you would suggest? Now, before I go into what training companies I suggest, I want to go into what tests you have to do and the way I would suggest that you go around doing it, because there are loads of different people that do loads of different courses and loads of different routes. So if we just, there we go. Right, so if we grab a job, the reason why I do all of these videos with Euro Truck in the background is just it's a bit of the right kind of area. Obviously, being a real life truck driver and a gamer, this is like a good way for me to do this video. So I'm just going to quickly grab a job. We're going to do, we've done low bed stuff. We'll take this one. That should just about cover it. Right, so like I said guys, we're going to basically now go into covering how to really get into the industry, and the best way from a driver's perspective who's been through the training at the early stages. There are many different paths, but the best way I have found, and most companies will get you to do this, is before you can even get into the whole going to do your practical test, you do need to do you need to get your entitlement. So you need to go get your medical. So you can go online, there will be a local doctor to you that does the class 1 medical. Once you've got your medical, you can then send that off and apply for your entitlement. And by this I mean provisional entitlement, which you will need just to get in the truck. You can't even take a lesson without this provisional entitlement. So whether you're doing bus or truck, you'll send off, you'll tell them which one you're going to apply for, off you go. Then once this is done, you need to start looking for a company and decide which way you're going to do it, whether you're going to go and sit your theory on your own, or whether you're going to link up with a company and go and sit a theory along in with a package deal, if you like. So your theory is split up into 3 parts. You will start with your the usual hazard perception and your actual theory test, multiple choice questions, and obviously videos of hazards, things that could run in your way, that kind of thing. And then, unlike normal theory tests, you will do a case studies. Now, if I'm right, don't quote me, it has been a long time since I did this, so if I'm right, it is 8 case studies of things that can happen while you're on the road, about loading and things like that, I believe. Now, some of this has changed since I passed 10 years ago. So that's, I know the case studies is there. What is deep in the case studies, I don't really know now, but I know it's within about the job and about what you'll be doing. So next, once you've done your case studies, then you will be able to go and do your practical test. Now, most people do it the same way, and you go and book a 5-day course with a certified HGV trainer. Now, you'll do, most people do Monday to Thursday, sorry, where you're in the truck, you're learning about distance, you're learning about cornering, you're learning about reversing, because you have to do a special reverse on your test to show that you know how to manoeuvre the trailer. And then once you get to your Friday morning, normally what happens, or what happened with me, is you'll go out for a short drive before your test. Your instructor will go, don't forget this bridge, don't forget this, because you need to choose an instructor in an area where you A, know, and B, will be doing your test. It will help you out a lot. Now, I did mine at Featherstone, within Wolverhampton, and Chris Maynard, who took me out just before my test, took me down a road and said, if the examiner brings you on this road, do not forget this bridge. And on that test, I actually went down that road. Obviously I turned left and didn't go under the bridge, obviously, because if I had have done, I would have failed. So find yourself someone with a high knowledge of the area. You can always find reviews of companies online. Listen to your friends, family, where did they learn, where did they pass. You can normally get a good gist for a good training. So you go out, you do your practical test, brilliant, but you still cannot drive, because now you need to go and do your CPC at the test centre. Now this requires you to take a HGV to the test centre, and you have to demonstrate a sort of show me, tell me, and I believe while I was there I had to demonstrate strapping down a load. Now for me, I had to do the chain with the ratchet link bar, and I had to do a ratchet strap. So there are many different types of load restraint, but again, a good training centre will teach you all of these. Now for me, a good training centre is someone with a good reputation. You can always tell how good a training centre is by the quality of their vehicles, and I know that sounds mad, but a lot of people go looking out for the brand new vehicle trainers. They're not necessarily the best ones. You want to find someone who's got a well-maintained vehicles. They're willing to like show you around before you get started. Now price will vary. It doesn't matter where you go or where you are in the UK, price will vary. Every company has their own price on it, and every company will charge you different dependent on where you are. And for instance, if you're in the middle of London, it's going to cost you more. If you're up Birmingham, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But if you're out in the sort of the country areas where there's less industry, you're probably going to pay a little bit less. But don't go out and pay less. Go to where you know. There's nothing worse than taking a test in an area that you don't know, because at least you've got some knowledge of I can't turn there, or oh, I remember that from when I was younger, I can't go down there, and it will help you and get along with your test. So that is that. Now before we carry on, what I want to say is I am going to plug in a company right now who most of you know I do work for, but at the moment it's the way they're going with the training. And the reason why I want to do this is everybody knows how passionate I am about training, apprenticeships, getting new people into the industry, and I know everyone's going to go, oh, you're mad, but there's just not enough training in this industry. There is nowhere near enough. There is hassles along the way, and people forget things, and there's some things that other people don't even train. Now transervice has moved on to a new CPC, and it's the right, let's get this right: safe tail lift operation and vehicle loading. Now this, I'd never sat this course in 10 years of my life until I came here, and this is what has made me want to plug the company I work for, because you go in on a Saturday morning, you're there for about roughly half a day. I went in and they showed you tail lift operation, and they showed you safe ways to get the pallets on and off, oversized pallets. And I know there's going to be drivers out there who are going, how do you not know how to use a tail lift? No, I do know how to use a tail lift. Obviously I've been in the industry for 10 years, I will have used a tail lift quite a lot. But what I'm saying is, this tail lift CPC even managed to teach me a few things about how to get your pallet on and safe without it moving, because we've had it done to us. And I really will say every driver will have had this at some point, where you've had a pallet move slightly as you've been on the lift, and this course was absolutely brilliant. It gives you so many better ways, and not only that, it gave me some insight into what you should and shouldn't be pushing and pulling, what surfaces that you should basically refuse to pull and push on, because obviously you're then at risk of you're injuring yourself. And they showed you the different types of pump trucks that you can use, your basic hand pumping truck, your electric truck, your I think they're called a kinetic truck, where as you pump the handle, the forklift moves along. So again, that is just one of the things, one of the training courses they do, and this is why I'm plugging transervice first. It's just amazing how they came up with this CPC, and they got involved in it, and they've really dived in, and everyone at our company was instantly trained. There was no do you want it, it was everybody go and do this, we think it's going to be good for everybody. So that's what they did. They got everyone involved, and it was brilliant. It really was brilliant. So then we go on to other training courses that transervice supply, and they go from everywhere from your class 2 training, your class 1 training, they do B plus E, CPC, ADR, oh come on Andy, this is why I kept it onto the side. So I have got some information on my side. But again, same as a lot of the logistics and warehousing training companies, they do forklift training. Obviously, what's it called? Come on, Andy, wake up. Commercial goods. And obviously now they're also stepping into apprenticeships. So the plug here is, check out transervice. If you're in the West Midlands, I want to give you guys companies that I know are legitimate and I know are sticking within the guidelines and will give you the best training for your money, because you don't want to go and spend, say, a rough figure of £1,000 on training that isn't top grade. Because, like I said, a lot of training companies teach you how to pass your test. You need to find a training company with drivers who have been there and done it, because they won't just teach you how to pass your test. And I know people think, what do you mean, just teach me how to pass the test? Because that's what you do. Whether you learn to drive a car, a motorbike, you learn to pass a test. You never learn to drive on a test. You never, ever, ever learn to drive. Until you're in the vehicle on your own, you will never learn. And I'll tell you a very quick story as why I know this. Is because Chris Maynard, again, I'll mention him, but he's brilliant. He's the way he taught me was just amazing. He said to me, no matter what I teach you now, nothing will prepare you for the first time that you take out a load. Now, for anybody that knows the Halesowen area, there is a hill called Mucklow's Hill. And the first time I took an articulated Class 1 vehicle out, I went down there fully loaded. I was about 43.5 tonnes, so I wasn't far off being completely full. I was not prepared for Mucklow's Hill. I was nowhere near ready, and I've never been so scared in my life. I went down the hill and I braked, and there was like such little resistance from the truck to stop. I threw on my retarder and it was like, am I going to stop? So again, you don't learn to drive until you're truly out there and you're making your mistakes. And I will say this, guys, yes, once you are trained, you are a fully qualified driver, but you are nowhere near a HGV driver. You need that experience. You will make mistakes. I will openly admit I have broken airlines. I have made my mistakes throughout the time where I've never dropped a trailer on its knees. That is a term, once you're in the industry, you will learn. But I have broken airlines, and it's just simply, you've dropped the trailer, you've been talking to somebody, or you've been distracted and you've forgotten to remove your airlines, you've pulled out and bang. There goes all your electrical lines and your airlines, and it will happen to you. And if it doesn't, fair play, well done to you. But I have no problem admit that I have made a mistake in my life, because the best way to learn to be a truck driver is to make these mistakes. It's like the very first time I reversed onto a bay. I was working for a bakery company. I'd never done bay work. I'd been driving for 6 years and I'd never reversed onto a bay. And I caught the mudguard on a guide rail, and the wheel hit the mudguard and it ripped it off. It happened. Am I ashamed of it? No. Will I do it again? No, no chance, because I've learnt from that mistake. So again, I'm going to show you now a quick leaflet flyer once we stop, showing what transervice offer, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of information if you're in the West Midlands on how to contact transervice the best way. In fact, we could do this now, and then I can finish up my video. So if we just switch over. Now you have to bear with me because I am using a new screen capture. So there we go. Right, now let's move this in. So there you go, guys. There is a flyer, and as you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. Transervice is part of the Pallet Network, and I'm not going to go into the Pallet Network. You guys, if you watch my last video, you'll know. If you haven't, go back and watch my last video. It'll explain Pallet Networks and why they are great, and I really do believe that they're great. I know people don't like them, but trust me, pallet networks are the future. So again, we move on to the transervice tail lift operation, vehicle loading and unloading. This is the course that I think all drivers, regardless of whether you've been in this industry 25 years, 40 years or 5 minutes, I think everyone needs to sit this course. It is a course that opened my eyes. Like I said, I've been driving 10 years. I've done flatbeds, I've done box trailers, I've done curtain siders, I've done cool units, I've done parcels, pallets, you name it. I've been involved in it because I did exactly what I said in my first video. I wanted to get a range and a knowledge of the industry, so I did agency work just to get that knowledge. So if you do pass and you do get into the industry, go and check out this course. I know they're offering it at the moment, and I believe, because of the course it is, I believe it can be done anywhere as long as you have a vehicle with the CPC. So if you're a company watching this and you have a tail lift, just one tail lift, the guys can come over and they can teach all of your drivers on site easily. That's how easy this course can be for all companies, not just our company. We can bring a tail lift to you. So that's that. Now, CPC, obviously, for the new drivers or people who are just getting into the industry, what you won't know is, once you pass your test, is once you've done your theory, your hazard perception, your case studies, your part 3, which is your strapping and loading, show me, tell me, then you've got to do a CPC every 5 years. Now, this is a week's worth of training spread out over a 5-year period. Now, you could do one day a year, you could do one day every 2 years, and a couple at the end, or 5 all at once. Either way, you have to sit 5 days, and these here are what you have to sit it on. Drivers' hours, working time regulations, loading, unloading. It's basically you sit in an office with a bunch of other guys, and somebody who knows the CPC will sit down, teach you. Do you know everything on that? Yes. Is it good to get a refresher? Definitely. Because things change. Like, for instance, the biggest change in the last few years, the speed limits have changed for HGVs on single lane and national speed limit carriageways. So people might be going, oh, that truck's speeding, he's doing above 40 on a single. No, the laws have changed, and this is why I think the CPC is great. And I know a lot of drivers hate the CPC because they go, for instance, I've been in the industry 25 years. If I can't learn anything now, I'm never going to learn anything. Well, no, because the things change, laws change, and the CPC is a good way to get people refreshed, remind them about safe unloading, remind them about how to load their truck, remind them about everything that you need to keep in your mind as a HGV driver. So these are some of the other training qualifications that we have, and I'm not going to touch on these too much. I really wanted to focus on getting your license and that tail lift CPC, because the tail lift CPC is something I think, again, everybody needs. But then once you've done that, and once you've been in the industry for a while, you can then go and say, oh, I want to do ADR. Now, ADR is chemicals, as it says on there, explosive tankers. So if you want to do fuel, if you want to move, I don't know, boxes of C4 around, whatever it is that's a toxic or a hazard, ADR is the way. And then you can move on, like I say, into your CPC, transport management, and this is where I'm going to be looking at when I reach that 20-year driver mark. So I've got my experience, I know what I'm talking about before I go in the office, because like I said in my last video, there's nothing worse than somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So obviously then we move on. Forklift training, it can be done on-site, off-site, at our training centre, which we have a training centre on Church Lane in West Bromwich. The HGV training, now B plus E, I've just seen this and I didn't know we were doing this, so this is new. Now B plus E is car and trailer, and this is where a lot of young people now are going wrong, and they're getting themselves in trouble, going out and buying a caravan, putting it on their car and off they go. They drive away. You're not entitled to do that anymore. You have to stick within your 3.5 ton weight limit of your vehicle and car. So all the people who are going out and buying a Nissan Qashqai, it's a rather large family car, it's an MPV, sorry about that, it's an MPV, it's got a lot of weight, and then you attach a caravan to that. A lot of the time you are breaking your 3.5 ton limit, so the B plus C will cover that. And then obviously we do our C1, which is 7.5 ton, C, which is rigid vehicle up to it's up to 40 ton rigid vehicle, and then C plus C, which is obviously where I'm at, which is up to 44 ton and beyond if you go into special stuff. And then commercial good training, banksman, brilliant. Manual handling, of course, everyone needs to just sit in manual handling. Warehouse and logistics supervisor and driver assessment. Now all of those are little things which, if you're in the transport area, all of those apply to you. Manual handling, banksman, it is good to know what you're doing as a banksman. So there you go. Right, I'm going to leave that there with you. That is our company flyer. And that is something that I wanted to choose, a company local, a company that I know about. Who better than my own company? And it is good that they're part of such a big network of companies, because the backing that we have from people like the Pallet Network shows our reliability and how we get on. So now let's finish this delivery. And while we finish the delivery, I just want to remind people, while you're here, please hit that like and subscribe button. I do a lot of gaming videos, but I also do, or I've started to do, videos about getting into trucking, my thoughts on trucking, why you shouldn't be involved in truck driving, and how to basically stay in it as a longevity as a job, and why you should stay in it. Now, again, the training aspect is something that everybody does need to sit down and have a look at, and everyone does need to really think about what they're doing, because going to the wrong training company could ruin you before you start, because you could get trained to pass a test and they don't teach us really big life skills about how to safely miss people, because I honestly believe it's very easy to go and pass a test, but once you're on the road and you have a load, everything changes. And I do believe now, I believe now that you have to have a 10-ton weight on your vehicle when you do a test. Now, when I did it, there was no weight, so that's a good thing. They are now giving you weight, I believe, to basically let you know what it feels like, let you know what 10-ton feels like. I mean, for instance, last night, when I left the pallet network last night, I was loaded at 43,470. So I was only 530 kilos from fully loaded. There is a massive difference between an empty trailer and a 44-ton trailer. So again, find yourself a decent company. Listen to friends and family. If you're in the West Midlands, contact us. Transervice Training, we will do a lot of things, and we will work around customers, especially with things like the CPC tail lift operation, because it's the kind of thing, it can be done anywhere. We have plenty of vehicles with tail lifts. In fact, most of our vehicles have tail lifts that we can bring out and we can show you on site, and really give you what you need without you having to go anywhere. We can come to you. But if you don't have a site, not a problem. We have a fully fledged training centre, and we have some really good trainers. I won't pin names, one, because I don't know all of their names, and two, because you'll learn them when you come to see us. But if you do wish to get into Transervice for training, please ring the number that was on the flyer, and I will post the picture back up again at the end. I will also post a link to our website. Call the number on the top and ask for a guy called Darren Parker. Now, the reason why I asked specifically is Darren Parker is not only does he run the training side of the company, but Darren Parker was the guy who 10 years ago got me into the industry I'm in now, and the industry that I love. And this is why this is the main reason why I suggest Transervice Training as a whole for all of your training, because the guy who was there has been in training for a very long time. He helped me through it. He got me into my test. He backed me all the way. And he got me through some really good apprenticeships, road freight logistics apprenticeships, warehousing and logistics, carry and deliver goods level 3, I believe I did at the time. All of these, again, they're not something that you need as a driver, but to have them is just that little bit better when you start looking at my 20-year career plan of ending up in a transport office. Having all of those are going to help me. So, again, ring the number, ask for Darren Parker. Darren Parker will get you through everything you need to know from beginning to end. He'll go into more detail than I can go into. Obviously, I'm not into training. I'm just suggesting for the people who have asked me, local people who have asked me, where do I go and get my training? This is where you go. And I wholeheartedly believe this is truly one of the greatest companies to go to. I'm not being paid to do this, because obviously I'm doing these videos for myself. For me to be able to plug a training company and a man, Darren Parker, who helped me through my career, is giving back to you guys and giving back to Darren. And then the last thing I want to touch on is apprenticeships. Please encourage children and school leavers into apprenticeships. I know there are a lot of bad apprenticeship programs out there, and I know people have had a lot of problems with apprenticeship programs out there, but if you find the right company, apprenticeship programs are amazing. I know, I've been there, I did it. I started as an apprenticeship. I'd been out of work for 2 years. I didn't want to work. I was on the dole. I was down and out, and I just didn't want to do anything. My wife, who was my partner at the time, and my granddad, who is the most respected man in my life ever, period, basically pushed me to get a career. They got me into this apprenticeship. I wasn't very happy at £50 a week, but that was back then. I'm sure the money has changed now, or I hope the money's changed now, seeing as the cost of living's gone up. But yeah, it was the best move I ever made. Going into transport training was the best career start I've ever made. So please push people into logistics training. The apprenticeships are there, the jobs are there. There is a shortage, I believe, of 45,000 drivers. So that tells you there is that much work out there. Once you've got your Class 1 licence, you have a job for life, as long as you abide by the law, obviously. So here we go, reversing into the space. This will bring the video to an end. So hopefully, as soon as I'm recording, I don't mess this up. We're good, we're good. The best thing I can give you advice about reversing is take your time, short movements, small movements. There is no point overstressing yourself. And if you're not 100% happy, have a little shunt. There is no problem having a little shunt. At least you're in the correct parking area. I could have dropped that trailer there because it was green, but I'm a bit particular. I do want to get it in right. So let's just finish up. And there we go, guys. So, just a quick recap. Go and do your medical. Go and get your provisional entitlement. Sit your theory, hazard perception, and case studies. Then find a decent company who will sit you through a week's practical driving and get you through your test on a Friday. Then you need to start looking at your CPC Part 3, your show me, tell me, your ratchet straps are loading, unloading. Actually showing someone at a test centre with a vehicle that you know what you're talking about. Then, once you've done all this, then you need to go and find yourself a decent company to work for. Again, my suggestion is go and do some agency work. One, you get some history behind you, and two, you will find out what work you want to do, because they can get you into different areas. And just tell them, I want to do a bit of everything. Go and do a bit of everything. Choose your career path. Now, here is the transervice training leaflet again. I'm going to zoom in. That is the number for you to call. Please call this number if you are thinking of any form of training along with logistics, and ask for a guy called Darren Parker, and I promise you, you will not regret it. He will look after you. I've worked with him, I've worked away from him, and I'm back working with him again now. I really trust this guy. He knows the industry, he knows apprenticeships, he knows training. There is no one better in my mind to get you through your Class 1 training. So thank you for watching, guys. I really do appreciate for people who have tuned in to watch this little video, who support me along my way on my channel. Now, the next video I'm going to do is probably going to be a bit more about regulations, drivers, things along the lines of, and I have started to record some footage of me in the cab for you guys to see what I get up to, and I'm just about to get some permissions for one of the places I deliver to whether I can do a full round video. So look out for those, guys. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, hit the notification button to keep up with our man on the channel, and don't forget to go and check out Transervice for all of your training. Anything you need, these guys will look after you. So have a nice day, guys. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. I will catch you all in the next video.